ഫോണിലെടുത്ത് നോക്കിയാ റൂമിൽ പോയിട്ട് ഫോണിലെടുത്ത് ആ മാറി നോക്കി അപ്പുറത്ത് പോയി നീ നോക്ക്.
जी हो मोकळे मेल मोकळे सुभाणे सुबुह जो कंदी Option. ఎత్తు ఎత్తు Divya Prabhu, sound is not clear. So, sound is not clear, Prabhu.
Right, Prabhu?
No, Prabhu, not coming properly.
Okay, then we can close it, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Okay, I think something issues in the Zoom settings.
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Raghuram Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, which, okay. You can start, Prabhu.
Yeah, okay, Prabhuji. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Rani, thank you very much for your team. Who's at the back? Last I cannot see the person at the back. Who's it?
Harish Prabhuji, Harish.
Who are they?
Naresh Prabhuji, Prabhu.
And behind your sister is at the back. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sister is
Okay.
also.
Thank you wonderful, for the wonderful Kirtan, and may Lord Balaram's mercy prevail on all of you. Thank you very much. A big
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna mantra for all of you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Thank you. Thank you again. Saranam Prabhu, Ramakrishna Prabhu has joined, so please spotlight him and get him on. So, welcoming all for this wonderful occasion of Balarama Jayanthi, where we are celebrating it on Zoom today. I hope all of you had a wonderful day and fasting till noon. I was seeing some of the temple programs today online. It was wonderful. I hope in future we can also have it. So I would like to welcome Ramakrishna Prabhu to take over and give a nectar. Welcoming him also, a big Hare Krishna mantra for him, Mantaji, and the whole family. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram. Over to you, Ramakrishna Prabhu.
YouTube live is also happening, Prabhuji.
Okay, wonderful.
You can share the link of today class.
Okay. You can spotlight Prabhu. Prabhu,
Thank you so much.
Yes, Ramakrishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
It's so kind of you that you have given us an opportunity to share a few nectar with all of the Shamadesh devotees. I welcome all of them. And if it is not inconvenient and if the bandwidth is accommodating, I would request the devotees to keep their video cameras on so that I can also take darshan of all of you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Narayanam Namaskritya Narayaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nastaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama-sloke Bhaktir-bhavati naistiki Yamakalpataror-galitam phalam Shukamukadamritadravasam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamadayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavikaha Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate yat kripatamaham vande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna to all of you. A warm welcome on this very auspicious occasion of Lord Sri Balaram's appearance day. Also, this is called as Balarama Purnima or Balarama Jayanti. So today we will try to understand some insights about the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Lord Balaram, and also try to see what's the difference between Krishna and Balaram. What are the kind of teachings Lord Balaram gives to the humanity, and what are the different aspects that he has and affection to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So that will be the topic for today's session. I would like to take you through a short slideshow, if that's okay for all of you. Please. Somehow my PC is getting stuck here, so just give me a minute. Let me just check it out. Okay. Can I share the screen? Thank you. So this is about the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in his very merciful form as Lord Balaram. So the darshan of the lotus feet of Lord Balaram with all different distinct characteristics on the symbols which are very specific to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we see here that the Supreme Lord is in kind of a deep meditation. He's thinking of all the Shamadesh devotees. How are they celebrating the event today? That's his mood. An important verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which tells about the glory of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. I would like to read it for all of you. This is from the Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 20. Krutavan kila karmani saha ramena keshava ati martyani bhagavan kuda kapatamanusha. Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balarama, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. Are you all able to see the screen or not? Are you able to see the screen?
Sometime back we saw Prabhu, now not. We saw Balarama and the lotus feet, that screen now.
Is it now okay?
Yes. Now clear. Now coming.
Okay. Thank you. So that was just the verse that we just read. Kritavan kila karmani saha ramena keshavaha ati martyani bhagavan. Ati martyani. So as though he was like a human being, he appeared in or amidst those who had taken their mortal body. And therefore, it is mentioned here as Guda, means very secretive. His appearance is very confidential. Kapata Manushaha, as though he's playing the role of a human being. So when we look at this pastimes of the Lord, I've just tried to make an acronym. Balarama is also there in Hindi. If somebody would like to read in Hindi, it will be fine. Otherwise, I would read on the left side of your screen. Bhartru Bhava means an affectionate or rather a Vatsalya of the elder brother is what Balarama represents in his relationship, and that is so pure and strong. And he is Adi Guru, the primal spiritual preceptor who guides all of us from right from the wrong. And Laukika Bhakti that never sways or bends. So this word is very interesting. We will discuss on that. Ananta Shakti that never ends. And Rakta Bala, upholding the way of righteous principles. And he is Ananya Seva, night and day, he is always engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Maitri, friendship that flows like a gentle stream. And Apta Dharma, that's the eternal theme of his very existence in the service to the Supreme Lord. Thus Balarama, the soul's true guide, in his grace, let's all abide in his service. Now we just take a look at the origin and the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. As we know that Lord Balarama was a son of Devaki and Vasudeva too. But by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, before Lord Sri Krishna appeared, Balarama appeared in the womb of Mother Devaki. And in a very mystical way, he was carried or attracted within the womb of Rohini, the other wife of Vasudeva. And therefore, he is that Supreme Personality of Godhead who had resided in the two mothers' womb, that son who had two mothers. That's very special about the Supreme Lord. And in this form, he made the arrangement so that the Lord could appear with his full opulences, and thereby he first served the womb as well, so that the Lord could take his birth or his appearance. That's a very special role of Lord Balarama and his service to the Supreme Lord. Then, as the Bhagavatam explains, that there are many kinds of services and expansions that the Lord takes, especially Lord Balarama, who is his immediate expansion. The Prabhupada explains in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, says that Balarama is the immediate expansion of Lord Krishna and is non-different from him. He is referred to as Vasudeva in the purport of Bhagavad Gita. And this, again, an interesting point to note. Why is he called as Vasudeva? Especially the further text explains that he is the origin of even all the associates of Krishna. Therefore, the original Vasudeva is Lord Balarama. In that context, Srila Prabhupada explains this perspective. In fact, all incarnations actually originate from Lord Balaram. That's how we should understand his primal, original expansion as Krishna. And the roles in the services that he does includes performing superhuman acts alongside Krishna, subordinate to Krishna, and to enhance the pleasure of Krishna, he acts in so many different ways. And he also expands into other forms like Shankarshana, from whom Narayana and other Purushavataras emerge. We'll also talk about that shortly. So, we can see that the Srimad Bhagavatam explains that this entire creation is a combination of material and spiritual formations, have three distinct divisions. The supreme most, the super spiritual platform, is that of the Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost. And then there is an intermediary spiritual platform which is called as the Vaikuntha or the Haridhama. And then below that is the Devi Dhama. That's how the division of creation takes place. And the Supreme Lord, as Balarama, he is manifested in all the three places with his full spiritual opulences. In the Goloka Dhama, that's in this place, he is performing many different kinds of pastimes and enhancing the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And further in the Vaikuntha Dhama, he, through his expansions, appears as Lord Narayana in his four-handed form. And then again, he becomes the cause of material creation. And he expands into Mahavishnu, who glances on his consort, and thereby the entire material world is also created by the power and potency of Lord Balaram. And in a very interesting aspect to this, it is explained, Garbha Shankarshanat tam vai Rahu Shankarshanam bhuvi Rameti Lokaramanad Bhalabhadram Balocharyat. So the son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Shankarshana because of being sent from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Mother Rohini. He will be called Rama because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokula, and he will be known as Balabhadra because of his extensive physical strength. We see this special role of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in the Bhagavatam, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and also in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. We see the different tattvas or the truths about Lord Balaram and also some qualities of the Supreme Lord. So you may have probably had some idea as how the Lord, the original personality of Godhead, expands himself from his Swayam Rupa as the cowherd boy in Vrindavan into his pastime and his expansions. They are called as the Prabhava and the Vaibhava Prakasha, and that comes from the Swayam Prakasha form of the Supreme Lord, Sri Shyamasundara. And this Swayam Prakasha form further expands into the Dekatma Rupa, in the sense it is the same personality of Godhead. By Atma means the soul is the same, but then it is manifested in another form. That's how Lord Balarama actually appears. And from him, there are Vilasa pastimes and there is Prabhava pastimes. In the Vilasa pastimes, there are many emotionally attached services that Lord Balaram does for Sri Krishna. And in his Prabhava expansions, which is further coming up from Vilasa, is the first Chaturvyuha, called as Vasudeva, Shankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. They reside the Prathama Chaturvyuha in the Goloka Vrindavana, and from there comes further Vaibhava Prakasha for the sake of many other kinds of pastimes that happens in the Vaikuntha Dhama, which is where he expands as Lord Narayana, and then Lord Narayana further expands into Chaturvyuha, the second Chaturvyuha, called as the same names, Vasudeva, Shankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, and from them many other forms of the Supreme Lord. In fact, these forms, 4 into 3, 12 primal forms, are the ones whom we every day after doing the achaman or when we are putting our tilakas, we are actually recalling these names of the Supreme Personality of God. That's how we do many of the services in the praise of the Supreme God. So one of the tattva we understand is that he is the first expansion of Krishna and represents the principal service to the Supreme Lord. And that the qualities we see here are of immense physical strength because he is the Dharana Shakti. The entirety of the creation is based on Balarama's internal potency and his pastimes in subduing the demons. In fact, Krishna doesn't kill anyone. It is his expansion as Vasudeva Krishna who is appearing through Balarama. All kinds of killings actually happens because Krishna, the original personality, is always a Saumya Rupa, is completely in bliss and pleasure-giving personality. So the act of the correction and reformation is done by Lord Balaram, and his pastimes of subduing the demons. And then he is the embodiment of humility, service, and protection as seen in interactions. Therefore, when he appears as Nityananda Prabhu in the Lord's Kali Yuga pastimes along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he manifests also those kind of qualities of compassion, and he is never angry with anyone. Therefore, his primal role as a guru or a preceptor is fully justified when he appears as Lord Nityananda. Then from this Shankarshana, who was the second Chaturvyuha, there are Swamsha, means personal expansions of the Lord. There are personal expansions, then there are plenary expansions, and there are also Kala Vishesha, means those who expand again from those plenary expansions, or partial expansions, we can say, or the Purushavasaras. Then after the Purushavasaras, we also have the 6 other categories, such as Leelavataras, Gunavataras, then Yugavataras, Manvantaravasaras, and Shakti Avesha Avataras. So all of these different incarnations and expansions are primarily coming from the origin of all of that is Balarama. So that's how he is represented in every aspect of everyone's existence. So in the Vedic scriptures, Balarama's role is highlighted, and including the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as in the Brahma Samhita. He is referred there as eternal, youthful beauty, and is always engaged in the service of Krishna. And then also some quotes that we see, one of that we just now read from the first canto of the first chapter. And also it is said in the second canto, wherein from Krishna, the next manifestation is Baladeva, from Baladeva is Shankarshana, from Shankarshana is Narayana. So one cannot attain the goal of life without the mercy of Balaram. So therefore, Balarama Jayanti is very, very important for all of us to meditate upon, as he represents the spiritual master's potency. And we get connected to Balaram through our spiritual master, through this particular potency of the Supreme Lord. Then Lord Balaram has many different kinds of associates. In fact, Krishna has many associates, and this is the scene in the Dwaraka, the most opulent palaces that he had. And those were all also personal expansions of Lord Balaram and his internal potencies. So Balarama's close associates include personalities Ugrasena, who was the king, Akrura, the uncle, and others who are protected by him, as the Bhagavatam also explains in the 14th chapter of the first canto, the verses 28 and 29. His role as a protector is emphasized in his interactions, and he also later in the 10th chapter, 10th canto, also we see that how Krishna and Balaram, with their very strong arms, Durbir Asanyam, they were protecting all those who had taken shelter of them. That's the glory of the Supreme Lord Balaram. Because of such great opulence of the Supreme Lord, there was never any kind of a famine or disturbance. They were protected from all kinds, and the residents were always in bliss. Then another form that the Lord Balaram expands is that of Ananta. There are two. He's also called as Ananta and he's also called as Sesha. So commonly people refer to as Ananta Sesha. In the form of Ananta, with his multiple hoods, thousands and thousands of them, he holds the entire Bhumandala, in which in every universe he holds the Bhumandala on his head. And as Sesha, he expands, on which the Lord, as Garbhodakasai Vishnu, he rests. And then he is in his deep meditation as the super soul of the universe. And he directs and creates facilities for all the living entities to continue their existence and complete their karmic activities. And also he awards them their rightful share of right destinations and the fruits. That's the position of Garbhodakasai Vishnu. But he does all these functions by resting on the serpent bed called as Sesha. And here we see, as original spiritual master, some very wonderful pastimes that actually took place. One from the Bhagavatam and one from Chaitanya Charitamrita. You see here. Roma Harshana was a great Brahmana, and he was ordered by the Supreme Lord to share the essence of the Vedic scriptures to all the sages of the Kali Yuga. In the beginning of the Kali Yuga, in the place called as Naimisharanya. And there he was narrating all the different itihasas and Puranas. At one occasion, Lord Balarama had passed through because he was not participating in the Kurukshetra war. So soon after the Kurukshetra war, he was on his return journey back to Hastinapura or to Dwaraka. En route, he passed on from this place, and Roma Harshana was an old man at the time. Even having seen that the Balarama has appeared, the Supreme Lord, he did not get up from his Vyasasana. This enraged the Lord. How could anyone who was representing him not show respect to him? And therefore, he became very angry. And with a blade of grass, he simply touched the body of Roma Harshana, and he fell flat dead. At the time, all the Brahmanas, they became very, very sad. And they stated to the Supreme Lord, "Oh, my dear Lord, how is that this act of yours, though it is such a condemnable act, but you being the Supreme Personality of Godhead can actually help us." Because he was actually describing the Vedic conclusions. But then Balarama said, but he did not follow the injunctions of the Vedas to respect the Guru, and therefore he had to be eliminated. But then the Brahmanas protested and said, or appealed, saying that this brings upon your head the Brahmahatya, since you killed a Brahmana. So then the Lord requested and asked them, what is that I should do so that I could atone my sin? Then, though the Lord is free from all the sins, he simply followed the Brahmanical injunction to simply prove Namo Brahmanya Devaya, to uphold the principles of the Brahmanatva. They told him that you have to now go on a pilgrimage and take bath in all the holy rivers. So the Lord simply followed that, and then he went on a pilgrimage again and took bath. On the other occasion, that when he appeared as Nityananda Prabhu, the two drunkards of Mayapura, the Navadvipa, Jagai and Madai, who had no traces of any kind of a piety, even though they were born in a very high parentage, they were rescued by Lord Balarama from the wrath of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who had literally invoked the Sudarshana to kill them. But Lord Balarama, in the form of Nityananda, as a spiritual master, he pleaded to the Supreme Lord not to kill them, but only to forgive them. That was the position of Lord Nityananda. Therefore, he is the most merciful personality who could deliver even the most sinful, like Jagai and Madhai. So there is great hope if you are not as sinful as them. And therefore, our spiritual masters and Srila Prabhupada says that when we chant Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, the Panchatattva mantra, before we chant the Maha Mantra, then all kinds of sins are absolved by Lord Balarama as Nityananda, and he gives us the protection and the ability to chant the holy names. So that is the classic mercy of Lord Nityananda, this original Balarama. Then another aspect that we see here is, are there any differences between Krishna and Balaram? There's also an interesting perspective we can see. So in technically speaking, as Tattva, or the original, the truth that follows between these two personalities, Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead, and he's called as Swayam Bhagavan, or he's also called as Savior Bhagavan, one who receives all worship. And he is complete and ultimate form of the God. And whereas Balarama is his first expansion, he's also called as the Adi Guru, he's called as the Sevaka Bhagavan, one who teaches the living entity how to serve the Supreme Personality of God. And he's also a Vishnu Tattva, the original personality of Godhead. And therefore, there is no difference between Krishna and Balaram, but his role is primarily to serve. Because there is no one who can actually render service to Krishna or to please Krishna. So therefore, Krishna himself has to expand in his another form and potency as his own servant. And that form is Lord. That's the primary difference between Krishna and Balaram. And other difference that we see is that Krishna is described in a dark complexion, but whereas Balarama, his complexion is fair or white or slightly bluish, as how is often referred to. He's also called as the white lotus, the color of the full moon. And that's a symbolic representation in terms of Krishna and Balaram's bodily hue. But otherwise, they both have a similar kind of gentle nature. Then as a role and the function, if we see, if anybody would like to read this, it would be very interesting also. And your active participation can make the program more blissful. Whoever wants to read can unmute and read it. Take the opportunity. Are the audience allowed to unmute? Or you have no option for that? Anyway, Krishna's role is that of the supreme enjoyer, the central figure, and Balarama serves Krishna in various capacities. In this particular form of his service to the Lord Krishna, he takes the role as an elderly brother, and with his fraternity, or with his fraternal affection, he also protects Lord Krishna. Mother Yashoda always used to tell Balaram, you have to take care of your younger brother because he is always very naughty. And you're more disciplined. You ensure that he doesn't get into trouble. And so Balaram would always make Krishna realize that it is Mother Yashoda's order that he has to obey him. And that's how there was very wonderful interactions that used to go between them. At one time, in this pastime, when all the cows in Vrindavan who had actually expanded themselves in the form of Krishna. And then their calves were also expanded in the form of Krishna. And these mother cows would give their calves so much of milk, and Krishna would actually suck their nipples and enjoy it. On one occasion, when they were all in the Govardhana tending the cows, these calves came running from nowhere. And all of these were sucking their mother's nipples so ecstatically. And Krishna and Balaram were playing there. And Balaram had never seen this type of a scene before. And he was just doubting, what is that something very special that is happening today? And he was looking at Krishna, asking him, what's all this going on? At the time, Krishna gently smiled, and Balaram could understand that it was he, Krishna, who had expanded into their calves, the baby calves, and he was sucking the nipples of all the mother calves, simultaneously making lakhs and lakhs of cows to become his mother, give them the pleasure. So Balaram had witnessed this beautiful pastime, and therefore his affection for the Krishna became even more. Then if you see some of the weapons or the symbols that Krishna and Balaram have, Krishna plays with his beautiful flute, the murali, that's so enchanting and attractive. Simply by blowing this flute, he can make the seasons change. He can simultaneously manifest many different seasons just at the same time to give pleasure to various kinds of his devotees who all have the desire to serve Krishna in various ways. And usually, as Vasudeva Krishna, he carries these kinds of weapons with him, chakra, then the mace or the club. Then he also has sometimes the lotus. Those are Shankha Chakra, Gada, and Padma, or the Vasudeva expansion that Krishna has. And as Balarama, he is Halayudha or Haladara. He carries the plow, and he also carries Gada, the club, as well, symbolizing his strength and is the role in as a farmer, the son of the farmer king, Nanda, and one who's protecting all the agriculture or the land in his expansion as Varaha. All of these are all coming from Lord Balarama, and that's how he maintains and also provides protection to his surrendered devotees. There's some of the very interesting pastimes that Balarama has performed among so many is that of the killing of Dhenukasura. On one occasion, in this beautiful forest, which was filled with tala trees, so that was called as Talavana, the trees were very, very, very tall. And also this fruit was little tangy in its flavor. And all his cowherd friends one day pestered Krishna, saying that we did not have a great time, fun time for a long time. We had not been to the forest and we have not eaten the berries and the fruits of the forest. So if you consider Krishna and Balaram, why don't you take us there today? In fact, at every single day of Krishna Balaram's pastimes in the morning, there would be regularly different kinds of demons sent by Kamsa. And as a breakfast pastime, Krishna or Balaram would kill them. And soon after that killing, they would open up their lunch boxes or their breakfast boxes and then start to eat whatever their mothers had packed them. So on one occasion, this particular place, Talavana, there was this Dhenuka, the ass demon, who was managing this whole place as a representative of Kamsa. And the fruits, which was so tasty and ripe, would every day go to the palace of Kamsa, to Mathura. So one occasion, the cowherds, along with Krishna and Balaram, decided they were going to plunder this forest and would take up all the fruits. And Krishna and Balaram, along with his cowherds, somehow sneaked into it, and their sound of entering into it disturbed this ass demon, and he wanted to come and check in who was there. So the cowherd boys, they hid themselves behind the trees, and Krishna Balaram faced this demon. And as soon as he saw, he started to run forward, and suddenly he twisted himself, and then with his hind legs, he kicked on the chest of Balaram. So the ass usually use their hind legs to kick. So Balaram caught hold of the hind leg with his right hand, and with all the force, he swirled it in the air, and he simply swung it onto the top of the trees, just as though he was playing with some flashcards. That was the strength of Lord Balaram, with which he flung all of these demons into the air, and by their force, all the fruits from these different trees fell down, and all of them had a wonderful fruit party on that occasion. That was the strength of Lord Balaram, and Krishna was very much pleased with this power demonstration of Lord Balaram. And the kind of the mood or the bhava that Balaram expresses is also very significant. Krishna's mood is very, very playful, and sometimes he's also a mischievous leader. He performs all kinds of mischievous things. But then Balaram has to take care of all of that, allow the pastimes of Krishna to take place so that Krishna becomes very pleased, and at the same time give him a lot of protection also. So Balaram's mood is that of an elder brother filled with protective affection, and sometimes he would caution Krishna, or he would tell him that he would not be doing things which is going to be bringing in trouble. So all of such type of a very affectionate mood is what Balaram would actually express. He embodies the mood of servitude and is the epitome of Dasya, the servant, and Sakya. And therefore he serves Krishna in all the different rasas that was demonstrated in full in Vrindavan. Then as a spiritual master also, like how Krishna became Sishyaste aham shadimam tvam prapannam. As Arjuna surrendered, Krishna served him as his spiritual master. And similarly, Jiva Goswami took the shelter of Lord Balaram in Navadvipa, and by the blessings of Lord Balaram, he could see the entirety of Vrindavan, and he was ordered by Balaram to take shelter of Vrindavan and serve the Goswamis. So without the order of Balaram, no one can actually practice any kind of service or any kind of a devotional attitude at all. So therefore, especially in Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, if we say Nityananda is considered to be as the Adi Guru, who is the direct incarnation or the direct manifestation of Lord Balaram in his most merciful form. Then Lord Balaram plays multiple roles in his different incarnations. Some of them are primary that we have listed here. As Balarama with Krishna, he plays the role of elder brother. As Lakshmana, as the younger devoted brother. And there also, in both these roles, he was there basically to protect his brother and to uphold the righteous principles, which is represented as the personification of Lord Balaram. And as Nityananda, he served as the spiritual master for all the devotees, and he also spread the holy names as a topmost preacher, helping Lord Krishna's, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's predictions, Prithvi Jayadi, Nagaradi Grama, Sarvatra Prachara Hoive, Moranam. That was initiated by Balaram. In fact, all kinds of preaching activities that is going on in the face of the world, is actually planned and empowered by Lord Balaram. So that's his very great potency. We also saw as Ananta, he is holding the entirety of the universes, and as Sesha, he provides Lord Vishnu with his support for resting. And also he becomes the shoes of the Lord, the paraphernalia with which we serve the Lord. All of that are the expansions of Lord Balaram. So those are some of the very interesting perspectives we can see. Then the mood, as we see here, is Balarama with Krishna as one of the protective affection, and as Nityananda in his boundless mercy as compassion, and as Lakshmana in the mood of devotion and servitude with great loyalty. So therefore, it is the Lord who personally appears in every incarnation of the Lord and gives pleasure according to the mood, which is very much apt to the role of the appearance of the Supreme Lord. Then some of the teachings which we see here, which Lord Balarama has manifested. His service to the Supreme Lord, or the Seva, is the service to the Supreme Lord, whereas the elder brother of Krishna, whether he takes the role of an elder brother or as a devoted servant of Rama or the eternal bed of Vishnu, Balaram has all different kinds of pastimes. Then he is personification of humility and submission. And we can see in his example as Lakshmana, Balarama shows humility by submitting to Rama's instructions. Many times, Lord Lakshmana wanted Ram not to do certain things, especially when he went behind the golden deer. He could feel and sense that there is some danger happening. He cautioned the Lord, but then the Lord had a different plan, and therefore he chased that golden deer, and that resulted in kidnapping of Mother Sita. And thereafterwards, the Lord had to go all the way to search, and Balaram accompanied him as Lakshmana, crossed the ocean and rescued Mother Sita, killing the demons there in Lanka. So those were some of the aspects. And at one occasion in Ramayana, Lord Lakshmana told to Lord Rama that because I am now as your younger brother, sometimes you don't listen to me. But now, in the next day of incarnation, when you appear as Lord Krishna, I will become your elder brother and I will ensure that you will follow what I order you. Yet again, as Balarama, he did not want Arjuna to be the husband of Subhadra, his dear sister. But then Krishna insisted that no, Arjuna should take the hand of Subhadra, their younger sister. And even though Balarama did not fully agree to that, he wanted uh, her sister to get married to Duryodhana. But then Krishna did not agree to this. But yet the marriage took place and Balaram cooperated and also gave lots of blessings to his sister and Arjuna. So that was his humility and submission we see in some of his pastimes. Then he is also considered to be possessor of supreme strength, Bala. It's not just physical, but actually spiritual strength by which we can perform bhakti, because he is also the protector of all the devotees' devotion. Bhakti Shakti is coming from Balaram. As Ananta, he supports the entire universe. And then as Balarama with Krishna, he uses his strength to vanquish the demons and protect Vrindavan at all times. And yet he is very compassionate and his mercy sees no bounds. And he showed these activities, these qualities as Nityananda Prabhu. And he rescued so many who were not even qualified. But yet just because of Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, Balarama Hoyulo Nitai. And that's how he is glorified by Sri Narottamadas Thakura, that his compassion sees no bounds. And he served Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with this great quality and empowered all the living entities. we can just take a quick snapshot of a comparative statement here. As Balarama, what he did with Krishna, what kind of qualities he manifested, and the roles that he played, the mood, the pastimes, and the services. And also some short references we can see from different scriptures from the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Then as Lakshmana with Rama, he was very devoted and he served with all his strength and he displayed the mood of loyalty. And he served Lord Ram accompanying to go to the exile. And also he supported Lord Sita and Ram in upholding the Dharma. As Nityananda Prabhu, he was mercy and compassionate personification. And he took the role of a spiritual master. Yare deke tare kaha Krishna Upadesha. And he ordered Haridas Thakur to go door to door and then assist Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his preaching mission. Then the famous pastime of Jagai and Madhai is the example by which he personified his compassion. Then as Ananta, with infinite strength, that is how his name is called as Ananta. And then he is the supporter of the universes. And he is always very calm, unyielding. And he's also constantly glorifying the Supreme Lord with thousands and thousands of mouths. But yet, the glorification of the Lord never seemed to be ending. And as Sesha, he expands himself as Lord's Pitambara, as Lord's footrest or his footwear. He also expands as different weapons. He also expands as his crown and also as the parasol, which is there on the top of the Lord's head. He also expands as the throne. And everything that the Lord adorns as his garlands, Lord Balaram expands. And he also performs the pastimes in his Rasa Leela as Ananga Manjari and gives Krishna the pleasure, conjugal pleasure also. So those are some of the roles that he takes and he performs it in a very nice manner. And the service to the Supreme Lord, the Seva, is the duty that he represents in terms of his teaching, and humility and submission is the quality that he wants the devotees to cultivate. And the strength and the service, the devotional strength to uphold the righteous principles is coming from Lord Balaram. And devotees should develop the compassion and merciful attitude so that we can take the lessons from Lord Balaram. And we should be very loyal to the Guru Parampara, to our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, and to the spiritual master, as well as in our dealings with great amount of devotion. And we should always seek protection and support from the Supreme Lord, because in our bhakti, if we become very casual, then that actually becomes very, very detrimental. So therefore, seeking protection always is directly taking shelter of Lord Balaram. And at the same time, Lord Balaram also represents detachment, vairagya, because he's unattached except for his duty and service. And therefore, the spiritual strength and the goals can be easily achieved by cultivating detachment, which is represented by Lord Balaram. And another aspect that is fostering the unity and brotherhood among the devotees is the Shakti of Balaram, by which he actually holds everyone together, every organization together, and mental and physical strength together is coming from unity of Balaram. Thereby, among the devotees, there is exchange of love. As Rupa Goswami explains this in the third verse of a nectar of instruction, Upadeshamrita, that the association is actually represented by Lord Balaram. He physically rests in the association. And then, as the guidance, we seek all the scriptures, they're actually representations of Lord Balaram. Therefore, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra are Balaram's expansions. And that's how we take shelter of the spiritual master. Then in conclusion, Krishna and Balaram, while non-different in their divine nature, they exhibit distinct roles, functions, and mood. Krishna is the central figure of devotion, the supreme enjoyer, and the source of all divine manifestations. Balaram, on the other hand, is his first expansion, embodying service, protection, and spiritual strength. Understanding these differences deepens the appreciation of their unique contributions to the divine pastimes and their roles in guiding the devotees on the path of bhakti or devotion. Hare Krishna. Thank you for this great opportunity to share some wonderful aspects of the Supreme Lord in his beautiful form as Lord Balaram, the servitor, the Sevaka Bhagavan of Lord Sri Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you are on mute. I could not hear you, Radha Bapu. Are anyone able to hear Radha Bapu because he's on mute?
Okay. Okay. Now I'm able. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Prabhu.
Yeah, wonderful class, Prabhu. Very, you took us right from the initial days to the end of the Leela of Balramji. Very nice. And I'm sure all will get benefited by this wonderful opportunity to associate. As you mentioned, he's a pathway to spiritual progress and the guardian of all spiritual activities. And I'm sure our spiritual master will be pleased by all the efforts that we're taking also in Shamadesh. And I pray that everybody stays steady and progresses in his. So thank you again for those thoughts, and it was a nice, beautiful class. Anybody has any questions or anybody has any doubts to clarify? You're most welcome. I mean, I hope you have time, right?
Yeah, sure.